The New York Times has quietly corrected a report the left used to loudly assert that Russia disrupted the election. Last night, the Times admitted their assertion that 17 intel agencies believe Russia launched hack attacks was simply not true. The talking point had been widely circulated during the campaign. I'm sure you heard about it, and even mentioned by Hillary Clinton at the final presidential debate. The Times now says just 4 agencies made the assessment. For more on the Russia probe and how the Trump presidency is shaping up as we head into Independence Day weekend, we're joined by author and historian Doug Wead, former special assistant to President George H.W. Bush. Doug, great to see you.
Hi, good to see you, David.
Has any president in history ever been treated by the press the way this one has?
Ooh, well, some have been treated very, very badly, but in modern times, this is pretty bad. I mean, the public rose up against LBJ. There were riots and neighborhoods burned to the ground in 140 cities. There were tanks on the streets of Washington, D.C. Tricia Nixon was spit on when she'd walk across campus in Smith College. So there have been some bad times, but nothing like this from the media. And I think, David, it's because the media can't hide. It's out of the bag because of the internet. They can't act like they're objective because we can look them up. Right. And that Harvard study showed 98% of them, they lean left, they don't like Trump, and they're not objective anymore.
But they not only lean left, Doug, they lie. I mean, they come out with stories based on one unnamed source. I mean, just think of it. You have CNN, the New York Times, as we just mentioned, the Washington Post, all retracting stories and facing national embarrassment as a result of such a flimsy sourcing for stories that turned out to be wrong.
I agree with you, and I think that part of the explanation for that is they care about each other. It's the echo chamber. You know, one of the 4 basic psychological necessities of life is recognition of peers. They don't care what the American people think. They care what those other journalists on the sister networks think, how good they gored Donald Trump today. I think that's part of the problem that's taking them down. And you notice they're not going to send out a certified letter to all of those viewers to make sure they know that the story's been corrected.
That retraction is this big, and the actual story's a headline. But we've also never had a president, I don't think, maybe Andrew Jackson was, but I wasn't alive back then, who fights back the way Donald Trump fights back. I mean, the tweets are one of his means of fighting back, et cetera. I know he's been criticized, sometimes rightly so, for his tone. But the point is that they don't get away easily from him.
That's right, and because it's a new era, part of that's because of the internet and because of social media. I think Reagan would have loved to hit back, but he had to stay calm. He had to keep smiling. He had to act like he believed in their impartiality, even though he knew better, because there was no chance to fight back. So what we're seeing with Donald Trump's counterpunches is a new era where he can go direct to the American people over the heads of these media folks, and it's driving them crazy.
Well, it's very much in real time. That's the phrase that we use these days. Everything is real time. But my question is, what's going to happen with the history books when they're finally written? Are they going to stack up on the side of Trump's accomplishments? It's early days, I know. We've only had about 6 months, but which side do you think they're going to add up on Trump having had more accomplishments, or because so far all of the charges against him, or most of them, have turned out to fall flat?
Yeah, history's going to demand facts. When I walked out of my home tonight, the library, I look at my library and I have entire shelves of books on Watergate. I don't have a single book on Russian collusion because you can fill an hour of hysteria on television about Russia, but you can't write a single book because there isn't a fact. And all this tweet business, I'll just say this. If Hillary Clinton were president of the United States or Jeb Bush, there wouldn't be these outrageous tweets, but illegal immigration would not be down 70%, and the stock market, those top hedge funds up 50%, and people would still be dying in the Veterans Administration. So I say tweet on Donald Trump, but just keep making America great again.